Good day, everyone. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about Tableau Prep Builder. Now, what is Tableau Prep? Tableau Prep, if I were to define it, is an ETL tool. ETL stands for extract, transform, load that will help users gain a fully cleansed dataset on the end. It prepares data and can help users clean, combine, shape, and organize raw data before connecting to it using Tableau Desktop for further analysis and data visualization. Now, let's have the basic steps to get started using Tableau Prep. Number 1 is to input or load your data. Basically, we can connect data from various sources. It could be using flat files, databases, internal systems, and so on. Next, we need to clean and transform the data by using calculated fields to remove the null values, or let's say, trying to have a consistent format among different datasets, fixed dates, and group similar values. Next, we need to join or use a union when necessary, especially when combining different data sources, and we want to check what their primary key is in order for them to be combined or joined together. And last but not least, we have finally our output where we can publish it into our Tableau server or just export the file to be used for other internal purposes. Now, let me show you a quick overview of what's inside Tableau Prep Builder. I have here an example flow that I created for my dashboard or dataset. Here is the output. Before I get into this, let me show you the connections I had. Basically, I connected to different Excel files. Now, it's not limited to Excel files alone. You can connect to a lot of sources. So we have two types of data structures. Basically, we have the wide format and the long format. In data analysis, wide format means each variable has its own column, while the long format stacks values into rows with a single column. So, here is the visualization to make you understand further the difference, which is quite evident already with the example. Now, I mentioned a while ago that we can connect to multiple datasets. In Tableau Prep, you can easily connect to different datasets. And after connecting, you can do your data cleansing, joining, combining, or creating the flow as it is in order to ensure that your final dataset is a clean structure and ready for analysis. So let's go back to my Tableau Prep Builder. We can click this plus button. As you can see, there are lots of choices involved. From my experience, let's say I have a Google BigQuery database or a PostgreSQL database. I usually just click these databases and I input the necessary credentials. Like, let's say, I want to connect to a Google BigQuery. I have to attach a JSON file so that it can directly bring me to the database and give me access to the different datasets involved. Not only this one, but you can also make use of different servers such as Azure Databricks and other additional connectors, which are really useful and helpful. Now, when we connect to multiple datasets, it's not only limited to joining, but you can also do union. But when we union datasets, it's important that the columns from different files or data are consistent, or else Tableau Prep will notice the inconsistent data columns or fields, which is not actually good for the overall dataset itself, because some cells might result in null values or missing values, and so on. Okay, let's start with the clean steps. Of course, when we say clean steps, we have to rename fields so that it will be clear and consistent. So, for example, in other datasets, the actual title for this column should be channel source and all channel. So, I can use the rename field in this section. Just click it and try to input the necessary values in order to replace your text with the correct one. Aside from renaming values, we can also remove nulls, because nulls may result in inconsistent data, or they might not be used to create calculations unless we add a specific criterion, which is the ZN to convert null values into 0. But how about for string types? It depends on your situation, or how you would structure your data. So here in my example, as you can see in this type of cleaning, what I did is I just right-clicked one row that contains null values, and then I clicked Remove Null, and it actually reflects in all the cells that are null values. Next is to fix typos, which is to standardize inconsistent values. The example would be on how we spell iPhone. So, of course, a lot of people try to type iPhone differently. We must group them into one so our data will be clean and consistent. And we have filter rows, which will keep the data that we need. In my example, I have a reseller ID that is equal to not applicable. In my final data, I don't want that to be included because they don't contain a reseller ID, and it might, mess up my data. Before you exclude something, you also need to review whether it also passes your requirements. So, for me, I excluded the reseller ID equal to not applicable. And we have transforming data. Transforming data involves grouping and replacing, splitting the data, and pivoting. The group and replace transformation also standardizes inconsistent values, like my example a while ago for iPhone. For this, we have also like New York, whether it affects the capitalization or what. And we also have the split transformation, when you want to break one field into multiple fields, like for example, our full name. We want to separate our first name, middle name, and last name. We can use the split transformation, and we can do a pivot wherein we need to reshape data from wide to long format, just like how we also do pivot tables in our Excel files. In our Excel data, it can also create calculated fields in Tableau Prep Builder, not just in Tableau Desktop. So, when we want to add additional columns by using formulas, logic, or combining existing fields, then we can create calculated fields. You can see this option. For example, I want to clean up something, and we can click this button, create a calculated field, and we do our formula here. And we have a union. It can stack similar tables together, as I mentioned earlier, as long as they have the same columns. So we have, for example, we need to stack monthly Excel files for our January, February, March, April, and May sales. We need to have a similar structure so that our final data set will just read the same columns. So, this is the step to do the union in Tableau Prep Builder. It's just basically trying to drag different data sets. And then, after the union, we can also do cleansing afterwards. Or we can do cleansing first before we union them. It depends on how you would like your data to look like. So we need to review the union result after, and then merge the mismatched fields. Of course, if you merge mismatched fields, you have to review again and make a standard column name, like trying to rename fields, so it will be consistent and more accurate. So that is all for the introduction to a Tableau Prep Builder.